Rites of Spring is a pretty decent episode of The Golden Girls. This is the 23rd episode of the 4th season. It's, of course, directed by Terry Hughes. And as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it's another one where there are several flashbacks. And ordinarily, I've mentioned this before, when it comes to sitcoms, episodes that are mostly built on flashbacks, even if it's new material, I just find them to be a little bit dull. But with The Golden Girls, that's very rarely the case. And I'm pleased to say that for the most part, this one was really good. There are 3 flashbacks. I'll go through them and talk about them in turn. The third one I thought was a little boring, but it was quite sweet as well. It starts off in the kitchen. Sophia is concerned because she's lost a pound. For the first time in 50 years, her weight has changed. So she's going to eat a lot of food to gain that pound back. The other 3 have a different focus. We learn that they're going to a beach party in 2 weeks' time, and they all weigh themselves and decide that they could lose a couple of pounds ahead of the beach party to look their best and to feel their best in their swimwear. And we get several flashbacks focusing on improving themselves or trying to improve themselves, and I'm putting that in quotations, but in different ways. And the first one is a flashback to the health club, and I really enjoyed this one. The 3 of them arrive at this women's only health club, and the person there is trying to sell them a lot of gym gear. And Rose isn't going to do that. She wants to wear her sweats, but Dorothy and Blanche are sold. And the woman said that they need leg warmers. And she explained, "You'll need something to keep your thighs warm. What are you using now?" To which Dorothy responds, "Friction, that's why we're here." Which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that quite a lot. And we get to see them doing the aerobics class, and it's really good fun. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice part of the episode. The second flashback was good, but it didn't entertain me as much as I hoped. They go to get their hair done at this salon, and we meet the hairdresser called Eduardo. He's played by Lloyd Bochner, and I loved the character. I thought he was brilliant. He said all of the right things to Blanche, Dorothy, and Rose, and they all sit down to get their hair done, and we get a little bit of suspense as they have the helmets on, they're getting their hair dried, and then we get the reveal. And I do think the reveal was maybe a little bit disappointing. They all had 3 identical hairstyles, but with their hair colour. And yeah, it was fine. I didn't dislike it, but I was expecting something a little bit more outrageous or something that maybe looked a little bit ridiculous, whereas it didn't. It wasn't what they were told they would have. So I didn't mind it, but it wasn't ultimately as funny as I think it could have been. And the third flashback is the one that I thought was a little boring, but I didn't hate it. Stan comes over, and he is a new Stan. He's been to a seminar that will help him change his outlook and be a better person, and he tries to enroll the girls because he has a quota to meet, which is very suspicious. And they don't want to go, but they're reading the brochures, and they're looking at the information, and one of the prompts is to describe your best friend. And Dorothy is describing a friend, and Rose thinks it's her, Blanche thinks it's her, and she reveals that she was describing both of them. I actually thought she was describing Sophia, and Sophia thought the same thing as well. So I don't know exactly who she was describing. I think she was describing Blanche and Rose. I think that's what was happening. But I don't know, part of me thinks she was describing Sophia as well. It was fine, it was sweet, it was a nice moment, but I didn't really think anything in that flashback was particularly funny. So sweet, but maybe not the most entertaining. And then we come to the end of the episode. I don't have too many thoughts beyond that. That's often the case with the flashbacks. I don't have too much to say about each of the individual flashbacks, for the most part, even if they're very entertaining. And for the most part as well, that's, well, kind of the case here. They did seem to weaken as they went on. The first one was very good. The middle flashback was okay. It was exciting, but the ending of it wasn't that great. And the third flashback was sweet, but not that funny. But at the very end, Blanche suggests that maybe Sophia hasn't lost weight, maybe she's lost height. So they take her to the side of the door where she'd once upon a time been measured, and they establish that, yeah, she's just lost a little bit of height. And obviously when you lose height, that's going to lose a little bit of weight. So Sophia's quite happy, but she's not going to eat this cake that she's made. And obviously Blanche and Rose and Dorothy are all smelling this cake and looking at it, and it looks delicious, and they bet it tastes even better than it looks. And then they realise, I can't remember, I think Blanche might have pointed it out, somebody pointed out that the beach party that was on the Saturday has been moved to the Sunday. So they have an extra day. And with that extra day, they're going to enjoy eating the cake and presumably start losing weight tomorrow since they've earned that extra day, and they get ready to have the cake, and it was quite sweet. So definitely not a bad episode. Whenever I approach a Golden Girls episode that's based on flashbacks, I always think this could go one of two ways. And honestly, for the most part, the flashback episodes are really enjoyable. There's usually one flashback that's stronger than the rest, and in this one, it's definitely the one at the gym when they were doing the aerobics class. The middle flashback was definitely funny, but the reveal of the hairstyles, it just wasn't as impactful as I think it could have been. I was expecting something funnier, more outrageous, and it was just, it was fine. And as I said, the third flashback was okay. It was quite sweet, but I didn't really think it was very funny. But in general, nevertheless, I'd still say Rites of Spring was a really good episode of The Golden Girls, and definitely one that I enjoyed.